Yeah. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank y'all for joining us. We have part two of a very awesome discussion, um, human trafficking, with our good friend Willie Brooks. Thank you, Brooks, for joining us today. We've had so many questions and comments and uh, DMs since part one. And, I think it's very appropriate that we have part two and really discuss with everyone uh, this huge and very important topic to human trafficking. Um, I don't think, at least I didn't have a lot of knowledge to it. Knew it existed, but didn't have a lot of knowledge to it. So, if you missed the first episode, you missed an awesome discussion with myself and Marcus and Brooks. But we'll dive into that. Brooks, for people that maybe just joined us for the first time, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, my name is Willie Brooks, formerly Officer or Deputy Willie Brooks. I was in law enforcement as of December 14, I believe, of 2023, which I served 18 years in law enforcement, different agencies. My last maybe 2 or 3 years in law enforcement, I got really deep into uh, uh, educating myself in human trafficking. Um, um, School resource officer instructor, DARE officer, actually, I was a 2023 DARE officer of the year. So, because I've been working with children for the last 16 years, I actually teach police officers on how to become an effective school resource officer. So, I can go on and on, but I don't want to use up the time just going into my credentials, because I definitely want to use this time for Q&A and to be able to dive deep into my understanding of human trafficking. I don't know everything. I know they got the specialists that are out there, but I've been doing this almost 10 years now, just to kind of educate families on what to look out for when it comes to human trafficking. Thank you.
Right, right. So one of the things that we got a lot of questions around was uh, law enforcement's role into human trafficking, and kind of what that looked like from involvement and a prevention perspective. Based on kind of our last conversation or just your experience in general, how do you see law enforcement's involvement in human trafficking evolving, or is it declining? What are you seeing for the most part?
Um, I see that it's a slight uh, increase in getting involved. One of the main things that I encourage, especially if there's any chiefs or sheriff that may be watching this live or watching it later on, is getting educated on it, because human trafficking is silent if you don't see it, if you're not educated on it. Uh, and there can be more involvement once you get educated on it. Um, because one of the things that I've noticed in law enforcement, many law enforcement agencies, they may go out on a call because they might say it's a runaway or a missing juvenile, and it may not be a runaway or it may not be a missing juvenile. It could be a child that's being involved in trafficking. It could be a child that has been taken. So you have to know the difference, and that comes with the proper training, and it's asking the right questions to be able to identify if it's trafficking. Because, like I shared before, trafficking does not always mean that that child or that person is taken and they're not going to make it back home, or they're not going to come back home. Trafficking can be that child, woman, boy, or girl is willingly being sold uh, for things or for money. So,
Right.
law enforcement, they are slowly getting educated on this, uh, so we can try our best to stop it.
So what? Now, one of the things, as far as the racial components, that
Hmm.
we talked about as well. Like I know I saw some statistics, whereas I couldn't really decipher if it was saying African American women or just African
Mhm.
American as a whole are now third in terms of human trafficking targets.
Okay.
Are you seeing the same in terms of victims?
Okay. Yeah, the matter of fact, I actually looked at that today. So I from if we looked at the same stats, because you have to be careful where you get the stats from also. But if we looked at the same stats, I saw that Hispanics were number one that was caught up or involved in trafficking, which that number was at 65%, and then Asians fell after that, then African Americans. The African American is growing because what human traffickers look at, they look at vulnerability, they look at poverty. And so when you start taking a neighborhood or an area where there's a lot of poverty, then you look for vulnerability because you're gonna find a lot of vulnerability in poverty. Not saying that every neighborhood that has poverty, you can get children out of it, because I came out of a low income home family that was that was poverty there, but I had parents that was involved in my life. But what I'm sharing is, and make sure that you all get this. Um, Whenever you find, let me just use a young lady or a little boy. Traffickers, they even watch their posts on social media. They see what they post. If they're always complaining about something, or they see lack, that's how you can start keying in on those persons, because they're looking for something. They're looking for a better lifestyle to live. So that's, when it comes to those type of neighborhoods, they key on those the most.
So make sure I understand. So they're keying
Yes, sir.
the targets per se. They're targeting
Uh-huh.
kind of um, low income or underprivileged children or women or men, whatever it may be.
Now, let me give you a better example. So I really feel, and this may open up a whole nother can of questions. uh I really focus on group homes. And the reason why I focus on group home, because you have boys and girls there that have been given over to the state. They don't have parents in their lives, so they live at these group homes, and all of their money that the state, I'm just saying the state gives them, most of that goes, for their lodging, for them to live. They may get a few dollars out of that.
Hmm.
Well, traffickers, hear me good. Traffickers focus on these group homes. Now, this may this see this may really step on some toes. That's why, you really have to focus on who work at these group homes. This may be way sidebar of what you shared, but this you have to watch who work at these group homes, because we don't know if those persons working there may be involved in trafficking, because
Wow.
now you have these little boys or these little girls who don't get any money. So uh what I tell law enforcement officers, or some of these group home workers, they have no idea that somebody may be caught in trafficking. And I'm dealing with the poverty, so let's make sure that we stick with that point, where if you have a little boy, little girl that don't get any money because that's where they live. Well, if they're showing, let's go back to the girls. If a girl going to school and she have her hairs, and I'm dealing with the African American community. Every time she go to school, once a month her hair is done over, or as we understand as African Americans, she have a new unit. She's walking around with brand new Jordans. She's getting her nails done all the time. You need to make sure that you need to look more into that, because somebody is giving her money. Then you got to ask the question why. So that's what I mean when I say that traffickers focus on poverty, because they're looking for something. They're looking for a better lifestyle, and that's what they can focus on. Now, some may say, "Hey, that's prostitution." No, it's trafficking, because that'll take a whole nother hour to give you the difference between trafficking and prostitution. But definitely, that's what they're focusing on, the low income poverty areas.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's a good segue into the school system,
Hmm.
in terms of,
Oh man.
what is law enforcement doing to really educate um, teachers, principals, students, what are we actively doing so they know the signs and or know some of the things you're talking about, that this child may be in danger or may be a victim of human
Mhm.
trafficking.
Well, this is the thing, man, with that. Schools, for some reason, schools, for some reason, uh, get afraid when they hear the word human trafficking or sex trafficking. A lot of them, when I say them, maybe principals, superintendents, or board members, feel that this is something that should be shared outside of the schools. But how can that happen? When you say do it outside of schools, but you got to realize that you can have recruiters in the school. Uh, a lot of this can happen while they're walking to school, while they're at the bus stop. Uh, I actually did watch this. I actually did a training at our church that we attend together. I actually did a training several years ago, and a young girl that was there in the training, I showed some defensive tactics, what to do if somebody tried to grab you. And well, I get a phone call saying that uh, this little girl, I didn't know it was the same one. This little girl was standing on the bus stop, and somebody tried to grab her, and all she remembered was to fight, fight, fight. And so she was able to create distance and get away from this guy. She just described who he was, or not who he was, but how he looked, what he was driving. So she was able to create distance and get away from this person. So this is why training needs to get into the schools to educate these children, to educate the teachers, to educate the principals, because we don't know that this young man that came and registered at this school, his purpose may not, be just to be at that school because they're looking for a better school or because they move. This person could be a recruiter. So
Right.
this is why that these kids need to be educated there uh, um, in these schools. Get the education there.
Has the
It's just
schools
a
been
lot. It's
receptive to it? Have the schools been
the
receptive to it, or
schools.
you think?
Well, I've gone into a lot of schools
Mhm.
because the report that I already have with the school being, a dare officer for 16 years, a school resource officer. So so I know how much information to give to the students by age level, grade levels. That's not going to cause the parents to come back and say, "Hey, you talked to my child about this. You talked to my child about that." So, but now when I go to universities, which I just did, Baton Rouge Community College about 2 weeks ago, well, I can just go straight off into the deep on human
Right.
trafficking. But when you're dealing with elementary, middle school, high school, I know how much to give them and stay in that safe boundary where these students can be educated, because they can very well be, in the midst of being recruited and don't know it inside these schools. So before we change the subject, I really want to challenge the parents. Hear me good. Contact your school boards, contact the principals, let them know that you want to see your children being educated on internet safety and human trafficking, so they'll know what to look for. Um, I travel the state of Louisiana. I educate. This is what we do. There'll be some more resources that I'll be able to give out in the next couple of days on getting trained there. But we need you all to speak up and say, "Hey, we need our children educated on this," because
So,
they'll listen to you.
right, right. So, and sticking with that, because I think that's very important. I know we were talking a little
Hmm.
bit offline about um, recruiting and what that looks
Uh
like, and the
huh.
strategies that uh,
Hmm.
recruiters or uh, those involved in human trafficking use to get their victims. And you were
Hmm.
talking about, in some cases, there are recruiters or watchmen or whatever you want to call it at the schools. What does that look like, and how can we, as parents, be more aware of that?
Well, when you start dealing with recruiters, you're looking more at the high school and college levels. So and it's simple when it comes to a recruiter. It could be your child at the bus stop, and a trafficker sees your child at the bus stop. and now we're going back over into that poverty area. We're going back into that low income area where
Hmm.
this little boy or this girl, whoever it is, may be looking to make some money, and that trafficker wants that little boy or wants that little girl, and they, are getting that information, from your daughter, finding
Right.
out where she lives at, finding out, asking questions, are they at home by themselves at a certain time? So it's not like, and when I say recruiter, that they're sitting around a round table somewhere in the alley.
Right.
No, 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 no. It's I'm using this kid that's looking to make some money.
Right. Right.
And when I tell you, let me make a connection too. You're gonna find a lot of gangs that are tied into human trafficking or as recruiters. We dealt with that. I'm not going to call the cities out right now. I'm not trying to deal with that, but there were a few major gangs within a certain areas in East West Baton Rouge, Point Capee Parish, and I seen for myself the videos on Instagram on these back pages where high schools, hear me good, where high school girls were being raped. It wasn't live, but they recorded it and put it on Instagram. I've
Wow.
seen it for myself where the little girls laying in the bed high on, on something.
Wow.
And yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And when you try to share this with law enforcement, they don't know how to deal with it because it goes back to not being educated. Um, so these are the things that's going on when it comes to the recruiters that's in the school. Recruiters not running around with tattoos everywhere. It can be that nice looking boy that's on a football team. So summing it up, Mr. Clarence, it goes back to educating. Letting your sons, letting your daughters know everybody's not your friend. This is why you can't go stay over with everybody because you never know what's that you never know what that hidden agenda is.
And I think that's good. That's good. And what about far as we hear the common theme of a female being trafficked, but what
Hmm.
about the young men or boys or even adults that are part of trafficking or targeted or victims of that?
Hmm.
What is kind of the perception from law enforcement or the approach or strategy as it relates to the men or young boys? Is it different than how they approach the strategy in trying to save young women or young girls?
No, same strategy because young boys are being targeted also because everybody have their preference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sick all the way around where you have an adult man,
We lost.
you may have a woman may want a little. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had lost you for a second, but I hear you now. Keep
Oh,
going.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah. So they
lost you again.
it just I don't know what's going on.
I hear you now. But yeah, go
You hear
ahead.
me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So so traffickers have their preference, and what they want, who they want. It may be a certain age, it may be a certain size. It's just whatever their preferences are. So, boys are not left out at all. So I don't want anybody to think that they're not for boys. And it's not always. Let me clear this up. It's not always by sex. It can be through labor trafficking. You don't find too much African Americans, that they're getting for labor trafficking, uh, but definitely, sex trafficking. And the part I want to get to, body parts. Man, that's a whole nother ball game when you start talking about body parts.
Wow.
What I mean by that, people are willing to pay good money, for your kidney, for your heart, for your liver, uh, people are looking for that. So you have to be very careful, because you can get caught up like that also. Now, if it's okay, let me share something with you in reference to the body parts. I'm not listen. Let me do this disclosure. I am not. Let me do the disclosure. I am not anti-donor. I am not anti donor. So if you a donor, you have the heart that's on your driver's license, keep it on there. It's just that as a because I've been in this thing for a while, you just have to be careful. Let somebody know that you are a donor because we don't want you going to the hospital because you stepped on a rusted nail,
All right.
and next thing you know, somebody say that you didn't make it.
Hmm.
Because who else know you better than your primary care, your pediatrician, and they trying to make some more money. This is how serious this thing is. It is what it is. It's true. And you're matched with somebody that's willing to pay some big money. So you go in for something small, next you know you didn't make it because that donor now have a match.
All
So
right.
that's why, so if you're going to continue to stay a donor, uh, um, don't go to the hospital or the doctor's office without nobody know you're going, and let them know what you're going for.
I heard that,
You
Brooks,
know.
before. My mom used to tell us all the time, don't put that heart on there, because even back in the day, they would even take you, and it would be something serious back in the day when I was a young kid. So back in the
Uh-huh.
80s, 90s, like
Wow.
that was something that was serious way back then. So
Uh-huh.
that's good
Yes,
stuff
sir.
right
Wow.
there. That's good stuff. I'm glad you
Yes,
brought
sir.
that up, because it's definitely
Yes,
something
sir.
that we need to be aware of to talk about.
Yes. So
Yeah.
let me say it again.
Yeah.
I
Let's
am
let's
not
get clear
against
on that.
I am not against donors now. Because that's all we need is one person say, "Oh, he's coming against life." No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just saying, continue to be a donor if you are, but make sure that somebody knows that you are a donor, and that when you're going to the doctor or whatever, you're not going in for a life-threatening issue, and that you come out with your band-aid on, because that's all you went there for. That's all I'm saying. But body parts trafficking is huge also.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
No, that's good. That's good. It makes me rethink
Yes,
because
sir.
I am a donor, but now it makes me kind of rethink even putting that on there because
Uh-huh.
uh, I don't know. If they steal your wallet or whatever it is, they see that
Right, right.
yeah, that because I'm sure a lot of the human traffickers are also into organ trafficking. I would think. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know. They're kind of yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow. So
Yeah,
this being
I'm sorry.
no, I know that, man. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's why I
Yeah.
wanted us to have a part two to this because it's
Yes.
a lot. I think many of us know that human trafficking exists, but we don't know
Uh-huh.
the extent of it. You know, uh,
Uh-huh.
or definitely not the strategies. You know, so
Uh-huh.
how does technology play a role in this? I was doing some. I'm trying to find the article. I couldn't find the article
Uh-huh.
where they were. I know we talked about social media and things of that nature, but what should the public be aware of in terms of like technology threats? Is it kind of just more so as it relates to your kids monitoring those games that you spoke to,
Uh-huh.
or does it come in other forms like we get in kind of like the spams or people? What other things that law enforcement would encourage the public to look for outside of internet games or a chat room? I guess.
Man, it's so many different apps that's out there. I tell people, and I think I shared the last time that we were on, as soon as parents get knowledge or on app, for instance, we start off, I think, the first I can go back is MySpace.
Yeah.
Once the parents got hip to MySpace, they went to maybe Twitter or Facebook. Once the parents got on that, then they went to Instagram. Now, you have TikTok, parents TikToking. But there are a lot of apps that are out there that parents don't know about. They don't know about Bigo. That's Bigot. That's with the little elephant icon. Then you have that. You look at that one. That's a dangerous one. Which you see now. You actually see live. And I say this in a way, parents, when you go look, I can notice live trafficking when they're actually uh, auctioning girls
Hmm.
or on Bigo Live. You have to be live. There's also another one called BitLife, Bitlife. The icon is actually a picture of a sperm, SPERM. BitLife, that's another one. Uh, so these are the technologies that traffickers are using, and that's why I keep saying you must educate yourself on the avenues that traffickers are using, because that's how they are uh, getting to our children. Uh, Through the video games, when they're on the game. I'm not saying the video games are bad, but the bad people that's on the video game. So when we were sharing that, I have small children, and I'm older, and I get tired of hearing all of that noise with them on games or whatever. So what we
Right.
do, we go buy them some headphones, put their headphone set on, and now we're letting whoever talk to them, chat with them, whatever. We just know that it's not getting on our nerves. So we have to be mindful of what traffickers are using to talk to our children. So yeah, madam, I don't know if I share with you uh, when we had a foster child living with us, and thank God that he didn't have the headset on. I thought we had another man, in my house, at 1 some in the morning, when he was up chatting, playing a game, chatting with this guy, and he was actually giving our information out, what school he went to, his name, how old he is, and he was about to give my address out, and I yelled to stop him. So that's why we have to monitor this. So technology, when it comes to, I don't know if you asked me in reference to what law enforcement may be using. Um, the only way that law enforcement can get, well, I'm not gonna say the only way, because I'm not high up there when it comes to their technology. They do have agencies that monitor, but it goes by what the trafficker is sending out there. Because if we notice that there's a pedophile that's out there, then they can, their way that they can connect with that, to see what's really going on.
Got you.
And I hope
Got
I
you.
hope I answered the question.
No, that's good. That's good. That's a good segue to the
Yeah.
next question for us. Just our men, guy talk. We know we really uh, encourage men in all
Mhm.
type of areas of life, but also from an educational way as well. Like, what as fathers, kind of, what are some of the ways men can get involved and contribute to positively uh, combating, for lack of a better way of putting it, human trafficking, or use their positions in the communities to influence uh, human trafficking?
Fathers definitely, because with me, I'm a girl dad. Fathers definitely need to get into trying to get their children educated. Look for, I definitely would encourage them to contact their local child advocacy center. When it comes, trying to make sure I get this camera right. There we go. Contacting their local child advocacy center, human trafficking division, because there are a lot of resources that are out there, and talking to your children, becoming their best friend, where they can feel free to tell you anything. And I'm gonna say this, you may want to piggyback on it: learning the language. I
Yeah,
teach classes on
yeah,
different trends and slangs, where your children can be talking to friends or even texting, and you looking at the text message. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just give you one example, and it's dealing with drugs. But your daughter can be on the phone and say, "Hey, I can't wait to get to school, because when we get out on the playground, we're going to see who can find the most four-leaf clovers." And that sounds innocent, right? you know, but they could be asking who have the ecstasy, because some of the imprints on them could be four-leaf clover, it could be Betty Boop, it could be the shape of a diamond. So I'm saying this is that we need to, as fathers and mothers, but because you asked the fathers, taking time out, talking to your daughters, talking to your sons, and letting them feel comfortable talking to you about the latest trends, the latest slangs that are out there, and seeking for, I'm sorry, and seeking for classes that are out there. I'm
yeah.
teaching classes at least once or twice a month, to educate parents. So education, education. You're gonna hear that come from me a lot. Education.
What and that's And that's I think about that a lot as it relates because I'm a girl dad too, and I
Hmm.
think about that a lot in terms of our youngest girl. She's about to start daycare very soon. You know,
Hmm.
she's 2, and very very smart, very discerning. You know, uh, are there any instances that you found or that the law enforcement their research has seen where their traffickers are looking at daycares at any point? Uh,
Oh man, when I tell you, I haven't. I personally, I haven't received any data or incidents. I'm pretty sure probably within the next couple of weeks, once I enter into uh, my uh, my professional career in human trafficking, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to uh, give information on data that we collected that they will allow me to. So I can't say no,
yeah,
but
gotcha.
again, it's just being careful of where our children go to daycare. I'm pretty sure families do as much research as possible to be able to identify, or they would know the daycare owner and feel comfortable about where you send your children. But uh, I wouldn't be. Uh, it wouldn't surprise me if who's working at that daycare that's watching your children. I you know, I don't want to expound too much on the daycare because I don't
Yeah,
have
no,
knowledge
no,
of
yeah,
or cases, but you have to be, just like right now, my girls, I'm sitting in the parking lot, but mom's inside. My girls is in a class, at a health club, but guess what? We're gonna keep eyes on them
yeah,
because
yeah,
you just never know. You don't drop your kids off anywhere without knowing the person personally because you may come back and they're not there.
right.
So it just knowing, do your homework, knowing who these people are that's watching your children.
So just kind of staying with that in terms of just businesses in general,
Hmm.
do you guys kind of do any training or awareness campaigning or any sorts with businesses in general?
Yes, so I haven't really gotten the way I do training because my website is out there. Uh, I do reach out to different organizations. Business wise, I have not been successful, getting businesses to allow me to train their workers, which that is a good point because even in your local stores, let me say that instead of calling out a
Right,
name, those workers need to know what to look for.
right,
That I mean that's a perfect place to be in a departmental store where somebody's lurking and watching your children. That's why my children get in trouble if they walk off in
yeah,
the store. They need, yeah, you can't go to the toy section without me. But I can say this. Um, Back in 2000, January of 2022, I was asked to come and do some training at a bus company. I'm gonna leave it like that. And as I was doing this training, one of the workers or drivers made a complaint on me afterwards. Well, because I shared an incident that occurred 3 times. Now there's been 4 times. Matter of fact, a young man that's been arrested for trafficking. Well, she made a complaint on me because she knew the young man's father. Well, that was a business. This is how serious trafficking is, where you get upset with me because I'm sharing about a young man that's been arrested 3 times at the time I've done this training, and you're upset with me because I'm sharing that this is what he does now. Just maybe a month ago, he's been arrested again for the 4th time.
wow,
Okay, and he lives in my city. So this is how serious it is. Where we need to have business owners, where they can identify. Man, listen, everybody needs to be educated so they can identify trafficking. You can see you'll know what's going on in your parking lot. You'll know what's going on in your church. If you have a visitor, what they looking at. You need to know.
and that brings me to another question in terms of
Yes,
just
sir.
thinking about that in terms of like policies and legislation or
Hmm.
laws around human traffic. Are you seeing whether any of that's being like really enforced in any way, or because I'm sure a lot of people are probably ignorant to even the laws around it. Obviously, we know human trafficking is illegal, but
Uh-huh.
I'm sure people don't know about policies or laws and the consequences and all those things. Like, what are some of
Man,
the things that are going on with that?
man, when I tell you, I do applaud. Matter of fact, even when go back to when I did that training at that with the bus drivers, Louisiana State Representative District 63, Dr. Barbara Carpenter, she came. She wanted to get firsthand of my training. She sat in that 2 hour training that I did with those drivers, and she was just shocked from the information that I shared. So uh, even with from the governor's office, you know, even when Governor John Bel was in office, now we have Governor Landrieu. That you now have the CAC, Child Advocacy Center, who have a human trafficking division. They're now educating and they're getting more involved because they see that human trafficking is very serious. So when it comes to from the legislative point of view, they're not being quiet on this. So they're pushing the fundings to have this thing addressed and getting people educated.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, that's good to know that they
Yes, yes,
some have an interest or take it serious enough
right,
uh, to bring it to some of our political figures to let them know, hey,
right,
this is a problem, and we are
right,
concerned about our community and our
right.
children.
And
Yeah,
see, that's the key thing. You said we're taking it serious. You don't take it serious. It's sad, but many people don't take it serious until it hits home.
right, right.
Me, I'm more I want to prevent. Yeah, I don't want to have to react. I want to be able to prevent this thing.
Yeah,
I don't, so it won't come to my house. So my children, I have them in all type of training. I'm not gonna go into the training. I teach my children defensive tactics. I teach them what to do. So if somebody do try to grab them, they're gonna have a fight on their hand. So they know what to scream out if somebody comes too close to them. So it's just getting educated. But once again, I do applaud governmental officials that they are getting involved. You tell them this is what I want to do, hey, they're gonna buy into it.
yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you again, Brooks, for taking time out with us today. This has been good. I'm sure the audience is going to appreciate that additional information since
Hmm.
part one. And I don't think we did. I don't think we had a conversations going so good on part one. I don't think we had a wrap up question. So I saved
Okay.
time for a wrap up question today. We
Okay.
end every episode with a wrap up question for our guests, and today's wrap up question is, what is one of the, I guess, one piece of advice or life lesson uh, you've learned since being in human trafficking that you feel okay with sharing with our audience,
One
or
of the
even
life
a
lessons.
challenge that inspired your journey.
Um, it's one of the life lessons that I've learned is that number one, human trafficking is real. It's not a gimmick or anything to make anybody scared. But my biggest thing is that a lot of people are not being educated on it, and they need to get educated on it. And I'm gonna say this: sometimes I step on toes when I don't try to, and that's getting this in our schools.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing is getting in our schools because a lot of schools are fighting it. And if I can push this into our schools, then you'll see trafficking decrease because now we're getting this in our schools and we're educating our children.
Gotcha, gotcha. No, that's good.
Yes,
That's good.
sir.
I agree with you on that. Well,
Yes,
tell
sir.
everybody how they can find you, Brooks. How they can find you
Yes,
on social media.
you can find me on social media on my website is brookskeepmesafe.org. Again, that's Brooks BROOKSKEEPMESAFE.org. You can also find me on Facebook at Brooks Keep Me Safe. Yeah, on Facebook at Brooks Keep Me Safe. I respond, especially if you send me a message. If there's something that's going on with your children, or you may have a question when it comes to trends, I am an expert on trends and different slangs. So if you feel that your child is trying to talk over your head. Just just take a screenshot and you can send it to me via email. My email is wbrooks141@yahoo.com. And take a screenshot. If I can't give you an answer, then I do have a friend that's in another in Calcasieu Parish that he also teaches on youth trans, and we'll help you out when it comes to figuring out what's going on. But again, I
Are
thank
you
you
on
guys.
Instagram also? I don't think I heard you mention
Yes,
Instagram. Are you on
yes,
Instagram?
Instagram. Also, Brooks Keep Me Safe on Instagram. That's
All
all the way across the board. So I'm
right.
not making it difficult. Yep.
Brooks, keep me safe on all platforms. All right. Well, thank you again, Brooks. Marcus, I know he had to jump. But thank you, man. And I appreciate you taking our time with us today. And everybody, you know how to find us, The Guy Talk Pod, where we are honest, open, and transparent. The Guy Talk Pod on all platforms. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. See y'all next time. Peace.